Welcome to Broadway's Calling, where we get closer to your favorite Broadway stars and find out about the moment they first got the call to be on Broadway. Well, we are continuing our month-long salute to African-American artists on Broadway for Black History Month. And, well, the show is so big that it's going to be in 2 parts. And today, for our first part, our tech producer, Julie Garnier, and Broadway Bites' Andrea Boyer will put me in the hot seat. Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
It's the hot seat.
We're taking over.
Yes, we are. So, go ahead, Julie. We're dying to jump on this hot seat, aren't we? Right?
Yes.
So, you've been interviewing all these fabulous African-American Broadway stars, but you have been cheating on us because you're one of my favorite Broadway stars.
Oh, thank you.
And we can't wait to hear your story.
Oh.
Yeah, so we want you to tell us all the stories that you want to tell everyone else the stories that you tell us in private.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a little scary, but I'm game. But first, before we get into those stories that I have, I just wanted to do a big shout out to one of my favorite actors and major inspiration who had a birthday yesterday. Mr. Sidney Poitier turned 94 yesterday. Happy birthday to ya. Oh my goodness. I mean, you all know him as an iconic actor, and he's been on stage and film, and of course Raisin in the Sun on stage, and then he went on into the movie, and he is a history maker as the first African-American male, well, actually Bahamian American male, to win the Academy Award for Best Actor. So I had to say that because he's the man.
He is. And I loved him. And Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. That's one of my favorite movies.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
Did you know that for him to be in that movie, that he had to go to like 2 separate dinner parties with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, and that's how they like auditioned him for the movie. It was like they weren't sure that they wanted Sidney Poitier. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on, Kate and Spencer.
That is crazy.
Like Anastasia says, he is a legend. Absolutely. They call me Mr. Tibbs.
That's a good one too.
Wait, can I tell a quick story before we get into my Broadway stuff about me meeting Sidney Poitier?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about. These are the stories we want to hear.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So at Van Nuys Boulevard at the Mercedes dealership, I was getting my car serviced. And I look over, and now this is very exciting because my dearest friend, Warren Adams, who choreographed Motown, the musical on Broadway, we love Sidney Poitier. He grew up in South Africa. I grew up in Harlem. And we just like bonded over Sidney Poitier movies. And I guess it was a huge thing in the heat of the night, and he grew up in apartheid South Africa. So when, Sidney Poitier is the Black man, slapped that white man, their entire theater erupted because they didn't know that, wait a minute, that can happen, so that was huge. So we have this huge thing about we love Sidney Poitier. Well, I'm sitting at the Mercedes dealership and they have the great Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. So I was just like eating them. And in comes Sidney Poitier with Jackie Collins, Joan Collins' sister, the writer. And I had seen a movie with Sidney Poitier, but I'd never seen it. And it's just like a 2-hander movie. It's Sidney Poitier talking on a suicide prevention line. And I love this movie. And so I go over to him. I said, this is it. I'm just going to go up to Sidney Poitier. And I said, hello, Mr. Poitier. And I told him, about how I was like a huge fan and how, my dear friend Warren grew up in Africa. And I told him the whole story. I said, but there's this one movie that I don't know the title of. And you play like this suicide prevention guy, and you're helping this woman not commit suicide. And he says, oh, The Slender Thread. was like, oh, oh. So it's The Slender Thread. So it's a movie that hardly anyone knows about. It's two characters. It's basically this guy, he's done with his shift. And the rule is if you pick up a call, you can't leave your shift. And the next guy is supposed to come to the suicide hotline, doesn't show up, and the phone is ringing and ringing and ringing, and then Sidney Poitier, he picks it up, and so he has to stay there and talk to this girl, and you have to watch the movie to see how it turns out. So anyway, that's my Sidney Poitier story.
I love it. That sounds like an intense movie.
It's a great movie. But everybody who's like listening, oh my God, Kimberly says he's a cousin of our next door neighbor. Oh my goodness. I'm like, I just like,
You're 2 degrees away. You're 2 degrees away right now.
2 degrees away right now.
Crazy.
Well, you guys, I want to make sure that you come back for part 2 next week. It's the big finale where we've gathered all of the best moments from this past season of our African-American guest stars. And I mean, we didn't set out to have this many African-American guest stars. It's just that those were the great people, you know, working in the theater that we wanted to have on the show. And so we ended up having Wayne Brady and Esapatha Murkerson, Lillias White, Chuck Cooper. They both won the Tony Award in 1997. Chuck's daughter, Lily Cooper, who got a Tony nomination last week. Carly Hughes, who's on American Housewife, was on Broadway, like 8 Broadway shows. Valerie Pettiford, Brian Terrell Clark, and Brian Stokes Mitchell. I mean, it was just so phenomenal, you know, listening to all of them. And so we compiled all of their best moments for next week, and it's going to be so phenomenal. So I hope that you subscribe, and of course you click that bell so you'll get that reminder to come back and hang out with us, whether it's on youtube.com//Broadway's Calling or on Facebook Live. But come back. Hear those words of wisdom. You guys, you will not be sorry. And you can watch us throw our heads back in laughter because there was some dish and some things that we were cracking up about. Y'all remember?
Yeah. Oh, now, Lynn.
What?
You always say that you're Black History 24/7, 365. So,
that's right, baby.
So what I want to know is, how, like, what was your inspiration to get into theater, like to start working in the theater?
Well, it was sort of like it came in spurts because like my mother took me to see Fiddler on the Roof for 6th grade graduation. And I remember it was at the Broadway Theater. It was very dark and people seemed like they were moving a lot and, you know, packing up and leaving. And I didn't know that that was the theater. I was just watching these other people. I didn't know that was for me because there were no Black people on there. But then I saw Bubbling Brown Sugar with great Vivian Reed and Josephine Permis, but they were like singing songs and that was similar to the Apollo. So again, I just thought that was music. And then I saw The Wiz, which that was, I guess it was theater, but it just seemed like it was for kids. So I thought theater was something else. But then I saw Melba Moore and Cleavon Little on the cover of Ebony magazine, y'all. They were on the cover of Ebony and Jet. And in the Black neighborhood, they would say, if it ain't on Jet, it ain't happened yet. So when I saw them on the cover of Ebony, that was like Time, Newsweek, Look magazine, Life magazine, all rolled into one. So I knew something big was happening when I saw Melba Moore and Cleavon Little on the cover. So I knew it was something special. And I'm like, maybe I should look into that Broadway thing. And then, of course, when I went to away to boarding school, that's when I really got into it. But Melba Moore singing I Got Love, that was the thing.
because I got love. I got love. I got love. I got love, 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 love. I got love. I got love. Sweeter than a flower, growing by the hour. I got love, sunshine, shine. Since I got mine, just call me, don't know it low. Keep on talking to my pillow, 'cause I got love. Every time I'm with him, I know I'm a lucky girl. For the first time in my life, I'm someone in this world so very blue. I just feel I can't lose. I've got a dark honey. Every day is sunny, 'cause I got love. I got love. It's sweeter than a flower. Oh, it's growing by the hour. I got love. And every time that I'm with him, I know I'm such a lucky girl. For the first time in my life, I'm somebody in this world. Oh, I can't lose. I've got a jar of honey. Every day is sunny, 'cause I got love. Oh, I got love. Sweet, sweet, sweet love. Oh, yes. I've got love, love, love. I've got
The lungs on that little lady. Now that was
I grabbed my shoe. I'm like throwing it. I'm like, wow,
So good.
she didn't know.
that was, I mean, it's amazing. She won the Tony Award for that. And that actually, I wrote that in the chat, but that was a taping that they did, which I believe was for Showtime. They did the entire show, and they did it. That was 10 years after she won the Tony. She still looks like, Anastasia said, she knew the role. It's like Ludibelle Gussie Mae Jenkins, and I used to love how she used to say her name. Just, I'm Ludibelle Gussie Mae Jenkins. But definitely a huge inspiration, and also it's like. It was huge for when a Broadway person was like on Broadway, and then all of a sudden they were on television.
Mhm.
And that was like ginormous. And she and Clifton Davis, who were dating, ended up having a summer television special while Carol Burnett was on hiatus over the summer. And I remember watching that as well as a kid and thinking like, oh my goodness, they were on the Ebony cover, they were on Broadway, and now they're on television. It was too much. It was, hey, Yolanda Williams, hey, just check in. Yolanda's down in Texas, and we're thinking about you guys, and I know you're going to have some warmer temperatures this week, so that snow will go away. So we'll definitely sending you lots of thoughts down there, Yolanda. And I know people are gathering money and sending it down there. So we're very excited. I did a little thing with the Red Cross, so I'm sure they're going to send, some money down there too. Just thinking about you. Oh, Yolanda says it's 72 degrees now. Well, I'm very, very happy for Texas because I know y'all were not prepared for no snow. But that was fantastic. So now you might as well just come on up here to Broadway, because that's where we are here. We're celebrating Broadway all this month. we got stars coming in next week, and we're going to do a whole recap show. And right now, Julie and Andrea have basically taken over Broadway's Calling today and put me in the
hot seat. That's
and so
right.
So go ahead, ask me whatever. I'm ready.
So Lance, we've been watching this show, and everyone has, and they see these fabulous posters behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So have you been in all of those shows?
I have.
I have.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, lay it out, Lance. Tell us everything.
Okay. So I just want to say, it's like, to be on Broadway, of course, is exciting. But you basically, if you're in one Broadway show, that's pretty good. That's one Broadway show.
I'd be like,
yeah, exactly. When I got my first Broadway show, while I was in that one, I got the second one. And I was like, oh, I didn't understand that could happen. And I happened to be standing in the middle of Times Square when I found out I was going to be in another Broadway show. And it was starting to snow/rain. They like to call it a wintry mix. Well, I like to say there was a wintry mix coming out of my eyes because I had like tears because I was just overwhelmed. And I was like, oh, no one will notice. They'll just see it's the weather on my face. But I definitely was standing there and just sort of bawling. So basically, let me see if I can do. All right, so right there is Sister Act, and that was with Patina Miller and Kingsley Leggs and Victoria Clark. Victoria Clark had won the Tony Award for Light in the Piazza. Patina Miller was making her Broadway debut in Sister Act, and she went on to win the Tony Award for Pippin, and now Madam Secretary, and now she's on the new TV series Power or something. It's like a prequel to something. And then
Power Book Ghost.
What is it called?
It's called Power Book Ghost. I'm actually on the first episode.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's where you can see Patina Miller, direct from the Broadway stage right onto the television. But then right after that, which was sort of a cool thing, were Ghost, and then that was in 2012, and it was strange because that year I ended up in 3 Broadway shows. Y'all, again, I know I'm the luckiest human being alive. That does not happen. And I just fell into a pile of shit, you know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't happen. So I started the year in Sister Act, then went into Ghost. That closed in August. And then I ended up in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with Scarlett Johansson at the end of the year for my birthday. It was like, it was crazy. But I'll tell you about Scarlett. Wait, where is she? There she, no, she's over there. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I didn't even know I was auditioning for the Broadway production. I auditioned downstairs at Lincoln Center. So I'm like, oh, it's the off-Broadway regional theater version. That's weird that they're doing 2 versions of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, but okay. Then they called me and I was like, well, who's going to star in ours? And they said Scarlett Johansson. And I said, oh, no. She's in the Broadway one. They said, well, so are you. I said, what? Oh, so it's going to be more than $700 a week? Because I was ready. Already. So just, and then quickly, there was Act 1, which was a new play about Moss Hart, part of the playwriting team, Kaufman and Hart, which connect that to My Fair Lady. Moss Hart directed the original production of My Fair Lady on Broadway. But in the middle there, you got Sunset Boulevard with, if you've been watching Broadway's Calling, of course, our premiere episode had the great Glenn Close on there, and that she just sort of launched the whole show, and that was great. And Finding Neverland, I just wanted to share with you guys a little story that no one really knows about Finding Neverland. They were sort of dinged in the press about being all Caucasian, which was weird because Diane Paulus, who directed it, is known for her incredibly inclusive cast, from waitress to hair to Pippin. That's just how she works. And for some strange reason, it ended up that, Finding Neverland didn't have any African Americans. There were 2 people, 2 Latinx dancers in the show, but they didn't sort of present as dark skinned, so people didn't really notice. But they actually had a couple of Latinx in there. Well, when it came time to, I was actually doing the robber bridegroom for Roundabout. What happened was Kelsey Grammer had left Finding Neverland, and his understudy, Paul Slade, was playing the role, and Paul Slade Smith. And then what happened was Kelsey couldn't get back, so they had to keep Paul in that role. They needed to have a new Mr. Henshaw. Now, Mr. Henshaw is the leading actor of the acting troupe for James Barry. So naturally you think, some old Caucasian gentleman would be playing that, not like a brother from Harlem, right? So they had a bunch of people audition for the role, and they also had me come in, and which I thought was exciting. It's like, okay, this is non-traditional. I'll go in, I'll just do my best and what have you. Then they offered me the part. So I'm like, whoa, this is exciting. So I'm like, I'm playing the lead actor in this classical theater troupe in 1912 London. I should just sort of read up on, classically trained actors. And then I found this guy named Ira Aldridge, and I'd heard of him through Ted Lange, and you remember him from Isaac from The Love Boat. Well, Ted is a playwright, and he knows a lot about history, and he knew about this guy named Ira Aldridge, and I had only heard about Ira Aldridge through Ted because Ted did some like award show or something, and it was called the Ira Aldridge Awards. And I knew that Ira Aldridge was a big Black classical actor in the 50s. So I Googled him. Yes, he was big in the 50s. It was 1850 in London, y'all. The top Black actor was in 1850. So here I was playing, the lead actor in an acting troupe in 1912 London. It was no longer non-traditional casting. We were carrying on the tradition. And that was what's so exciting about having inclusive casting, diverse casting, is that you find out new information. And it's like Black people, it's like we were around during slavery time, then we sort of disappeared. Then we came back during the civil rights era, and then we came back for Black Lives Matter. So it's like Black people, we've been around forever. And that was a great thing. So at Finding Neverland, when the show was closing on Broadway, they were sitting out a tour, and they asked me to go on tour, and I wasn't able to go on tour, but I had a great conversation with Diane Paulus where she said, I'm sorry you're not going on tour, but we cast an African-American in that part, Mr. Henshaw, because of you and the information that you shared with us. And to make sure that it stays Black, we also cast your understudy Black as well.
That's
so
wonderful.
That's a little Finding Neverland story that, it's no one's ever really talked about it, but it's like I love sharing that with you guys.
That's wonderful, Lance. You mentioned something about traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious, is there something that you do, like a ritual or a tradition before any show or after show?
Other than eat and have dessert, because that's my tradition. A lot of people, they like to wind down with some wine or a cocktail. I'm like, where's the apple pie or banana cream pie or any kind of pie with some ice cream? Because that's my big tradition. I don't really have traditions. I adhere to most theatrical superstitions. Like, you can't say the Scottish play inside the theater. I'm like, I don't even mess with it. And people are like, oh, that's just a superstition. I said, I got a book that I can show you where superstition killed all these people. I'm not messing with that, y'all. That's some energy I'm not messing with.
The first production of the Scottish play.
Yes.
Well, you had to play Lady Macbeth because that actor was killed.
Exactly. You don't want to mess with that. Don't play it out of the theater, y'all. But if you don't know the tradition, if someone does say it, they have to go outside of the theater, turn around 3 times, spit and say a swear word and then be invited back in.
Yeah,
That's how you have to take care of it. But Phineas asked me, how do I prepare for an audition? Well, I can just tell you that quickly. It changes. It's different. I always like to look at the script and see where the character fits in. Like most good writers, there's a reason based on Shakespeare why a character enters a scene. What is the information that they have to share? So I try and figure out, what the information is, and then I start going through. I call them the sort of positive attributes, the things that are definitely true about a character. Like you can do it with yourself. It's like, I'm definitely a certain age. I'm definitely a certain height. I'm definitely born and raised in New York City. Well, you can do the same thing with characters and just make some definites about them. So you're not like, well, I could go this way, I could go that way. Well, because our minds are like so full of creativity, you can go 1,000 million ways. So just choose one, make some absolutes about a character, and then that will lead you towards, creating the character. So I start working on that when I come up with an audition, when I get an audition, and then the shoes. Every character has different shoes. Every single character, even if I'm doing a self-tape from home, I will put on certain shoes because that will make me stand a certain way. I will, if I have on sneakers, I'll stand a certain way. If I had on hard dress shoes, I'll stand another way. So I really like the shoes. And my manager actually said, because every time I send him a self-tape, I put on a different costume, and he says, where do you keep all those clothes? It's like, but it's very, very important to me. Some actors work inside out. Some actors work outside in. I do a little of both. I like to start the outside in, and then I start working on what's on the inside and, what does the character want? And basically, we as performers, like Shakespeare says, we're holding up a mirror to nature. So we're just being average people, just average people, just people who want the same things that you and I want, which is like love, shelter, food, and some ice cream and pie.
That sounds fabulous. Well, those are fabulous tips. I felt like I took a little class right now of like how to audition. I'm taking notes here. Shoes.
Well, there's so many different ways to audition. That's just for me. That's what works for me. I mean, you always want to work on what works for you, what makes you calm, what makes you allowed to tell the story truthfully. It's like whatever gets you there, that's what works. You can read 1,000 books, but everyone is going to have a different technique. So you want to steal from a lot of people.
So then let me ask you this. You're auditioning, and then you get the call for your first Broadway show.
Yeah.
I want to hear your Broadway's calling story. Tell us your first call, where you were, what you were doing, what happened, who'd you call first. I want everything. Go.
Okay, well, it's in two parts. The first one is in 1981. I was about to turn 22, so you can do the math, you can figure out how old I am, but I was about to turn 22, and I literally thought everybody I knew was on Broadway. Of course, this wasn't true, but because I'm an actor, so lots of drama. I was like, I'm almost 22. My career's over. Well, I got the call to be in Martin Charnin's follow-up to Annie, which was called The First. It was about Jackie Robinson, the first African-American in the major leagues. And I was going to be the swing. And it was so exciting. And I was like, over the moon. I remember walking down the street, and I could do this then. I actually did a bell kick in the air. If I did it now, I'd break my hip going up and coming down. It just like,
I just got a visual.
it's like, that's not a bell kick at all. That's a cracked Liberty Bell kick if I did it. Well, but I did when walking down the street. I was so excited. Unfortunately, I never made it onto the stage because the show closed before I ever even got onto the stage. They showed me to my dressing room. They introduced me to the cast the day after opening night. So the cast thought, oh my God, we're staying open. They hired a swing. Well, it didn't really mean anything because it closed. So I don't consider that my Broadway debut, even though it was the first time I got the call. My Martin Charnin said, if we're lucky enough, we get to go around the block again. And as a 21-year-old, almost 22, I took that to heart. And I was like, oh, I'll be back on Broadway. And I was 30 years later to the day. And I was, yes, it was a long block, y'all. Well, I was doing Aladdin out at California Adventure playing Jafar, and I was in between shows. So I still had my Jafar makeup, and I was all evil, the eyebrows and the goatee and everything. And I had done the Peewee Herman show out in Los Angeles, a stage version. But Paul Rubens, who plays Peewee Herman, had told me they were probably going to Broadway, but because it was such a short run, they couldn't take everyone there, and they probably were not going to take me. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand. So I just sort of like, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And one day in between shows, I see that Paul had called. And so I call him back and I said, hey, what's up? And I was like getting myself ready. I'm like, oh, you want to tell me some more bad news? Okay, well, that's okay, because I can use it for the next show of Jafar. I'll just like, you will fetch me that lamp. I was ready. So what happened was he said, well, get ready for your agent to call you to tell you you're going to be on Broadway. Oh my God. Whoa. You're going to be on Broadway. Because he and Scott Sanders, the producer, had worked it out where he could do a 12-week run so that he can bring the entire cast who did it. So, whoa. You always think that nothing's going to like affect you, and then bam, something gets you. So anyway, he tells me, he says, it's going to be in Variety that you're going to be on Broadway. And it's like, you try and like act cool, but it was like a 30-year dream. And so I got to come to New York, and it was a dream come true. Not only was the show so much fun, which was the secret word. If you've seen it, we taped it on HBO. So that, fun was the secret word. But, you know, when you think about Broadway, you think about standing center stage in a spotlight and everyone's cheering for you and you're holding for applause. Well, as the king of cartoons, I got to live that dream every single night for 12 weeks. They weren't cheering for Lance, but I got to really, really enjoy it because there was a song, the Flowers sing about the king of cartoons, and then Peewee says, there's a king of cartoons. Then I burst through center stage and I come out, and then the audience goes wild. It was so amazing. And some days the applause would go on so long, and Paul, as Peewee Herman, would turn up stage like, really? Are they still applauding? Can they stop now? Whatever. You know, it was like terrible Peewee Herman impersonation. But it was so fantastic. And I don't even remember who I called first. All I could remember was thinking that it wasn't real. And so that's why the moment when I finally burst through that door center stage and I was listening to the applause, I remember being so present in the moment, the first day and the last day that we did it, because I knew that this could possibly be the only time. You don't know if there's going to be other Broadway performances. That's why they always say it's like whenever we perform is to perform as if it's your last time and it's your first time, all combined. And that's what every night was as the king of cartoons and making my Broadway debut at the Peewee Herman show.
What a story.
I have a little clip of you as the king of cartoons. I'd love to show it.
The bootleg.
Hey, I didn't make it. I didn't make the bootleg.
Well, as the king would
for us to see.
as the king would say, let the cartoons begin. She has her own reunion next month. She's going with Queen Latifah.
Oh my
Well,
goodness, I love that.
Well, thank you, whoever got the bootleg. There is an official version, not with all of those kings. That was the very, very first performance. That was literally my Broadway debut in
Wow.
that particular one, because that was when we had the long kings. And a little trivia: I'm the one who came up with the Papaya King. Being a New Yorker, I was like, "You got to say Papaya King."
That's right.
So that was very exciting. But there is a real version. I think it's on what do they call it now? The HBO Max.
HBO.
Yeah.
It's on. I watched it recently. Actually, it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, and it's our 10-year anniversary of the taping of that this March. So maybe there might be a reunion of the Pee-wee's Playhouse people. You have to make sure that you subscribe and click that bell, and then you will get a notice about it, y'all. And then you'll know if there's a certain reunion coming. We got some things. I'm just saying. That's the king. The king is out. Peace out.
Lance, you could be the king of Mardi Gras.
Yes.
And that was just this past week. I don't know how anybody celebrated, but I survived by not getting the baby in the king's cake. So I'm good.
Right.
Even 2 pieces in, I was like, whew. I was trying to cut really slim, like really thin, making sure I didn't feel any plastic body parts.
Oh my God, I know. It's so wild. So wild. I love that though.
So, of course, I was looking through my pantry and I came up with some ingredients this time just for you, because I want to know if anyone can guess what Lance's favorite dessert is.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Is it?
Should we just show them?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone. Well, most people know I love pie. Everyone knows, but they're not going to know about this because I know what this is. But let's show them the ingredients and see if they can figure out what it is.
A little teaser.
Okay. Well, all I saw was banana liquor. Okay. So
and a fire extinguisher is always needed in my kitchen. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know if anyone out there could figure it out, but maybe they can figure it out once they see you. Oh, Tucker says banana cream pie, which I do love. Joe Allen, who has some of the best banana cream pie. They're in this place called the Red Something. It's over on like 7th Avenue and 56. The Red Something Grill.
The Red Eye. Is it called Red Eye or
the Red Eye Grill or something? I think a couple of people figured it out. I see Joanne. I see Joe. Let's see if they're correct.
It was good.
Oh, what? Oh, hello. I was just dreaming. There was flambés. and Bananas dancing in my head. Oh, that looks so good. Anastasia says a bowl full of sin.
It is.
Carl says,
I want to take that melted brown sugar and just pour it over everything.
everything. Oh my God, so good. Carl says, who cares? Bananas and booze with Mariah. I love it. Well, Andrea, I can't wait to see what you make for the big finale next week.
Yes.
Go into the vaults of Broadway's Calling Black Broadway history. I cannot wait.
Gonna be
And I
fabulous.
remember just last week's show where Stokes had such great insight, and when Lilius was on, she had amazing things to say.
Yes.
Yes, and Gwen Verdon and Bob Fosse's stories from Valerie Pettiford, and I'm watching her show, by the way, the Vampire Diaries thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the Discovery of Vampires.
Of the witches or something.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what.
It's all mystical and fabulous. I just
Oh
got
my
into
God,
it.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see that. I was watching her on Half and Half because Big Dee cracks me up. I love it. Well, I mean, those stories that we've collected in one episode, that's gonna be for the books. That actual episode will be something to study. And just so everybody knows, we are still collecting for the Actors Fund for these episodes, this episode and next week's episode. And as I told Brian Stokes Mitchell when he was here, we are still giving away for free the Broadway's Calling, where is it? Pin and pen with any $25 or more donation. And we will donate the profits to the Actors Fund. And like Brian Stokes Mitchell was explaining last week, they help not only actors, everyone who works in the entertainment industry, from the ushers to the backstage to the box office staff, the janitors. If you work in the entertainment industry, they're going to be helping you, and lots of people need help. And I guess they gave out over $17 million this year, which they normally only give out $2 million a year. So they need lots and lots of money. So what we're doing is that we're collecting as much money as we can, and sent a little check this week, and hopefully we'll get more money. And excuse me. And so hopefully we'll get more money, and you can send those to our Venmo or our PayPal. And our Venmo is at Lance C-Roberts, or PayPal is paypal.me/Broadway's Calling. Very simple. So I just hope that, you consider helping out, because that's what we're doing. Last week, I mentioned another clip that I found from Shuffle Along with Audra, Stokes, Billy Porter, Josh Henry, Brandon, Adrian. Well, next week's show is too big to add it. So I wanted to send you into the week thinking about the gloriousness of this cast and of the African-American musical and its place on Broadway, and the fact that Audra McDonald, even though she has 6 Tony Awards as an actress and a singer, we found out in Shuffle Along, she's also a phenomenal dancer. So I want you to take a look at this right here.
And now, nominated for Best Musical, here's the company of Shuffle Along, or the making of the musical sensation of 1921 and all that followed.
When you hear your feet echo in the streets, when it's late and it's raining, when you think the sleep you're gonna lose. When your only pal steals away your gal, and you think of the river, then you're getting those Broadway blues.
When your club has lost its silver line, when the colors in your rainbow cease to shine, when you're farewell to the door, don't tell nobody where you're leaving for. You've got those Broadway blues.
In 1921, the little show that could opened in New York City had everything going against it, yet changed Broadway forever. The name of the show, Shuffle Along! And among its many innovations, featured a line of choreens who didn't just promenade like so. They stomped, shimmied, and hooked like never before. No, you abandoned me.
We stopped speaking, but we never stopped crooning, jamming, swinging, slamming. We had those Broadway blues.
For I was so bad, who soared so high.
Before $18,000 in debt.
Goodbye, blues.
Before everything changed, and nothing was the same.
We had those Broadway blues.
Did you? Can you believe that show?
I feel. I'm so sad I missed it.
It was absolutely spectacular and lots of history. And as Stokes and I were talking about last week, is that it was the first African American musical that had a love story in it. Mm-hmm. They didn't allow Black people to show romance on the stage, and they had a beautiful love story. And also, you heard Stokes, so they would shimmy talking about the chorus girls. In all musicals, chorus girls basically promenade. They walked across the stage. They walked, like Ziegfeld Follies girls, but these girls actually danced and they were part of the story. And that was an innovation in those days. And of course, adding syncopation and jazz music was an innovation. And I just loved this show when I saw it on Broadway. It was spectacular. And we have so many cool videos that I have found for the big finale next week. So I hope that you share this episode with your friends and tell them this is where Broadway history is happening. And next week is going to be off the chain. So I just hope that, you tell all your friends and say, be here Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, because we're going to be here with a huge story to wrap up our Broadway's Calling tribute to Black History Month.
Lance, I'm still feeling your tears, seriously, from your heart. I am.
That got me. I was like, whoa.
And I'm still emotional. And I want to, first of all, thank you for sharing with all of us that call. And I feel I felt like I was in that phone call with you.
Oh.
And it's so nice to hear that. And something that I'm hoping that you can share with us is that, a lot of people are still waiting for that call.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of your viewers here that either have gotten the call or waiting or maybe inspiring to get that call. Is there anything you can share with them about your experience with all of this in your life and getting to that first Broadway call?
As in, like, how to inspire them to keep going?
Yeah. I mean, anything that you can share, a word of wisdom, that those are just like dying for that first call, something that you can.
Well, here's
give
the
them.
deal. It's like, I think if as an artist, wherever we do art is valid. Of course, we're focused on Broadway here, and we love Broadway, but Broadway is bigger than the Times Square area. It's theater on the community level. It's theater. It's a dinner theater in college. It's doing scene work with friends. As long as you're sharing stories and you have a passion for storytelling, and you love the story more than you love yourself telling the story, that is what will keep you going. Just keep thinking about the story and telling the story, and forget about yourself. Don't worry about when you're going to really be on Broadway, because in reality, you can be on Broadway in your mind. I mean, we're delusional anyway. So don't wait to be on Broadway to be on Broadway, baby. Be in that little, like, 99-seat theater out in LA, or a Showcase Code down in off Broadway here in New York. When we get back to working, hopefully in 6 to 9 months, it's like, be Broadway in your mind. Don't wait for the moment, so you can always, you'll be ready.
I love that. Be Broadway. I like that. Yeah. See, that's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys, thanks. This has been a blast. I'm very excited about next week. And to all of you, thank you once again for showing up. And thank you, Julie and Andrea, for putting me in the hot seat and taking over Broadway's calling here.
Really fun.
But it's really been a blast. And I say, of course, stay safe, stay sane, wear your mask or two, wash your hands, and see you next week for the big Black History Month finale. Thanks again, guys, and peace.